Shalom, אנחנו קוראים בספר כתבי בעל הסולם.
We're reading from the book The Writings of Baal HaSulam, the part of Shamati. In English, it's the book Shamati, the white book Shamati, on page 152, article number 52, a transgression does not put out a mitzvah. You can ask questions at kab.tv. Questions based on the topic of the lesson will be asked during the lesson. Again, the white book Shamati in English, page 152, article 52, a transgression does not put out a mitzvah. A transgression does not put out a mitzvah, a commandment, and a mitzvah does not put out a transgression. It is the conduct of the work that one must take the good path. But the bad in a person does not let him take the good path. However, one must know that one does not need to uproot the evil, as this thing is impossible. Rather, one must only hate the evil, as it is written, "Ye that love the Lord hate evil." Thus, it is only hatred that is needed, since it is the conduct of hate to separate the adhered. For this reason, evil has no existence of its own. Rather, the existence of evil depends on love for the evil or hate for the evil. It means that if one has love for evil, then one is caught in the authority of the evil. If one hates the evil, one exits their premises, and one's evil has no dominion over that person. It follows that the primary work is not in the actual evil, but in the measure of love and the measure of hate. And for this reason, transgression prompts transgression. We must ask, why does one deserve such a punishment? When one falls from one's work, one must be aided to rise from the fall. Here, however, we see that more obstacles are added to one, so that one would fall lower than one's first fall. But in order for one to feel hatred for the evil, one is given more evil, so as to feel how the transgression departs one from the work of God. Although one did regret the first transgression, one still did not feel a measure of remorse that would bring one hatred for the evil. Hence, a transgression prompts a transgression, and every time one regrets, and each remorse certainly instigates hatred for the evil until the measure of one's hatred for the evil is completed. At that time one is separated from the evil, since evil induces separation. It therefore follows that if one finds a certain measure of hate at a level that prompts separation, one does not need a correction of transgression, prompts transgression, and naturally one saves time. When one has been rewarded, one is admitted to the love of God. This is the meaning of "Ye that love the Lord hate evil." They only hate the evil, but the evil itself remains in its place, and it is only hatred to the evil that we need. This extends from, "Yet thou hast made him but little lower than God." And this is the meaning of the serpent's saying, "And ye shall be as God, knowing good and evil." It means that when one exerts and wants to understand all the conducts of providence, such as the Creator, this is the meaning of "a man's pride shall bring him low." It means that one wants to understand everything in the exterior mind, and if one does not understand it, one is in lowness. The truth is that if one awakens to know something, it is a sign that one needs to know that thing. And when one overcomes one's own mind, what he wishes to understand, and takes everything in faith above reason, this is called the greatest lowness in the human attribute. You find that to the extent that one has a demand to know more, yet takes it in faith above reason, you find that he is in greater lowness. Now we can understand what they interpreted about the verse, Now the man Moses was very meek, humble and patient. It means that he tolerated the lowness in the highest possible measure. This is the meaning of Adam Harishon eating from the tree of life prior to the sin, and that he was in wholeness. Yet he could not walk more than the degree he stood on, since he did not feel any want in his state. Hence he naturally could not discover all the holy names. For this reason he is terrible in his doing toward the children of men, that he would eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And through this sin, all the lights departed from him, hence he was naturally compelled to start his work anew. And the writing says about it that he was expelled from the Garden of Eden, because if he had eaten from the tree of life, he would have lived forever. This is the meaning of the internality of the worlds. If one enters there, one remains there forever. It means that once more one would remain without any want. And to be able to go and reveal the holy names, which appear by the correction of good and evil, he therefore had to eat from the tree of knowledge. It is similar to a person who wants to give his friend a big barrel filled with wine, but his friend has only a small cup. What does he do? He pours wine into that cup and takes the cup home, where he pours it. After that he begins to go with the cup once more, and once more fills it with wine. Then, once more he goes to his house until he receives all the wine barrels. I had heard another parable that he had told of two friends, one of which became a king, and the other became very poor. And he had heard that his friend became a king. The poor went to his friend the king and told him of his bad state. The king gave him a letter to the minister of the treasury that for 2 hours he would receive as much money as he wanted. The poor came to the treasury with a small box and entered and filled that small box with money. When he came out, the minister kicked the box and all the money fell to the floor. It continued similarly time and time again, and the poor man was crying, "Why are you doing this to me?" Finally, he said, "All the money that you took throughout this whole time is yours, and you will take it all. You did not have the receptacles to take enough money from the treasury, and this is why that trick was played on you."
Articles of Shamati is what Rabash heard from Bala Sulam in private talks, and after he heard these things, he wrote them down. That's why these articles have a certain style. Now, to our matter, what do you want to say in this article? There's no mitzvah or transgression. There's no ascent or descent. There's simply states we have to go through in order to have a great vessel, in order to receive the good and delight that the Creator wants to give. That's why the states we have to go through are so diverse. In our emotion, what we call the heart, we feel good or bad, and next to it, in our intellect, what we call the mind, confusion and clarification. And these two, heart and mind, meaning bitter and sweet, truth and false, get mixed up within us, and we get thrown between these four discernments. And gradually it helps us build our complete kli, our complete vessel. Because man was not created initially ready for his complete role. But we know that the upper light created a point called existence from absence. And that point is a bit different from the light by having a desire to receive, while the light has a desire to give. But all the rest, which the creature has to become, needs to be developed in his own feeling, in his own understanding, so that he knows and feels everything there is in the Creator, in the light, and be like Him. Because the state of the light is the perfect state. And the thought of creation, which is in the light, is what the creature has to be like. So, from that point, the creature himself has to go through a series of unpleasant or pleasant states, confused or clear states, to come to a point where it knows and feels and acknowledges and truly replaces the Creator in His role. That's how you measure if he reached that state. The creature who is going to go through all those changes and states is in a very special state called this world, after a preparation from above. And that's us. Where on the one hand we have a sort of an existence that we call this world. We live here in a certain way, and there's a point in the heart within us. When that point awakens, in the meantime, it doesn't awaken in everyone, but gradually it does. And we begin to work with it. With our previous life in this world, previous as in before the development of the point in the heart. So we develop in this life too, but as animals, on the levels of still vegetative and animate. No one asked us. By nature's force, we're pressured to develop. And we build all kinds of conducts of life, manners of connection, and so on. But when we reach some satiation from that, a new desire opens within us, called a point in the heart, and it's a desire for spiritual development, where we begin to ask, why do we live? What's the point in life? And that desire doesn't belong to anything in this world. All that we do have in this world is a part of our beastly existence, which does not count in spirituality. It's as though it doesn't exist, and only that point in the heart which awakens exists. And that is what we need to develop. And when we are in our corporeal life, while having a point in the heart, then we can use this life as a basis and then build ourselves from that point to an entity that exists in the spiritual world. So there's a foundation, and we can build ourselves independently. And in the development of that initial point the Creator created as existence from absence, there are several principles that we should know about. One of them is, like he says here, a transgression does not put out a mitzvah, and a mitzvah does not put out a transgression. Meaning that we can't even determine here what is good and what is bad, what is pleasant or unpleasant, truth and false. We have to learn these discernments in contrast to what we have in this world. We have to learn and make new discernments, spiritual discernments, where the goal eventually is to grow or to expand the point in the heart, the new desire, to make it big as an infinite sphere. And in that place, in that space, we'll discover our eternal, complete, whole life. And we'll feel our existence there in a way that this world will simply dissolve. All the existence we have today will be discovered as a basis only for achieving spiritual existence from that point. And that point develops by additional desire. The additional desire that gets added to that point each time is different in many facets. Sometimes it gives us unpleasant impressions, so we call it bad. Sometimes it's pleasant, so we call it good. Sometimes we realize that this development is for the better, meaning it's truth. I am reaching the goal by that, and sometimes I see that this development pushes me to the other way, so that I'll discern the goal from the other way, from the opposite way. So then we go through all those inner collisions. We can feel good or bad, that is felt as bitter and sweet, and there's also truth and false, and there's no direct connection between them. It is said about Adam Arishon, Adam, that was in Garden of Eden before the sin, that was enough to see his entire state. It's like animals. You see how a dog looks for something on the street. It knows what's good or bad for it. An animal doesn't go wrong. It never goes wrong. It won't take something that can harm it, because for them, sweet and truth is the same. And it's not the same with us. All the good things that we do, the sweet things that we get are not for our advantage, actually. And always the medicines we take, the remedies, are bitter. Although we encapsulate them with false wrappings in order to agree to take them. So in our world, it's usually the opposite. What's bitter is true, and what's sweet is false. But these scrutinies help us build ourselves. So sometimes a person enters states where he feels sweet, then he finds that it's a transgression, it brings him away, moves him away from the goal. And other times he finds a mitzvah, which is every state or action that brings him closer to the Creator. Of course, it's not any physical actions that we refer to as mitzvot in this world. It isn't what we're talking about. The mitzvot meaning the actions by which I draw closer to the spiritual world. They're called mitzvot. And what happens is that I discover all the bad things within me, whatever's anything that can be in my ego. First, I discover these states as pleasant states. I enjoy them, and later I discover, through studying Kabbalah and the light that shines on me through the study, and gradually it takes time. It depends on how a person enters the group through which he receives an intensified amount of light, and then he begins to realize what is true and what's false, meaning what's closer and farther from the goal. And then there's a scrutiny. There's a clarification done of truth and false. He looks at his state and he makes the difference. Although it may be bitter and sweet, he looks at what is the truth and what is false here. And that's how he advances. And in every next step, he never eliminates the states, or does not accept the states of transgressions. We already sketched this diagram before, showing that when we rise from our world, which is here, this is this world, we exist here for thousands of years of development. Later we enter what's called a time of preparation. In the time of preparation, we acquire mistakes and transgressions, which is altogether evil, bad. That's what I acquire here. After I have that, as it is said, I created the evil inclination and the spice of Torah for it. Then, according to the sense of evil, I require the Torah. So then I go through a state where I cross the mahsom, the barrier. When I'm willing, I want to correct myself, and then I first correct myself on a level called chafetz chesed, delighted in mercy, which means not using the evil inclination. It's called the degree of binah, or fear, when I'm afraid of using the evil inclination, and then I go forward and come to a point where I even reach keter, chokhmah and keter, where it's not that I don't use the evil inclination. I do. I use it. How? By receiving in order to bestow. Here before, I only bestow in order to bestow. Oh, well, you know my misspells. You probably see many more mistakes here and you're ashamed to tell me. What else did I want to mention here? We're always working with that evil nature. That's what I want to say. Here we need it. We disclose it. We reveal it. And there, on top of it, we build the degree of chafetz chesed. It's like the allegory of Mount Sinai. We rise above that mountain of hatred, but it stays there. We're above it. Here, there's like a mountain of hatred, of evil, and we rise above that mountain. And here we invert that evil into a vessel of reception, of receiving in order to bestow. That's what he wants to say here. A transgression does not put out a mitzvah, meaning we never eliminate anything in reality. Anything the Creator created is for our own good. We just have to see what is the way we can use each and everything. Or, in a different way, we explain that there's one line which is the will to receive, the other line which is the will to bestow, and in the middle we build from the two our own state. That's called the middle line. And in that we rise, we ascend. So we receive evil from here and goodness from there, and we build ourselves from both, combined together, because the evil becomes this desire of the kli, the vessel. The good becomes the masach, the screen above the desire. And that's how we use both of them together. And we build this third construct, which is called Adam, man, or a soul, or a partzuf, or kli, vessel. That's what we go through. What else did he mention here? How a person is taught to hate the evil by being given the same evil again and again, repeating it, although he made that transgression, but he couldn't determine the right attitude towards it, which is hating it. So he goes through it again, and when he does, he feels it as more and more harmful until he gets rid of it. This is something we see in our life too, here. When we do something bad, it's not enough for us first. We have to feel a punishment, meaning we have to feel true evil that comes from our deed to such an extent that next time we'll be afraid of doing the same action again. So the first correction above the machsum is called repentance from fear. Correction from fear. We're still based on the bad feeling, so this is called correction from fear, and this is called correction from love. When we cross to that second phase, we already use the will to receive. Meaning I'm not afraid of my transgressions. On the contrary, I have so much strength, force, ability to use the evil and turn it to good. And there's a lot more details here, obviously. The article is quite short. Yes?
I wanted to ask the question how these things express themselves in the corporeal and spiritual world, but I'm not going to differentiate that because I know you don't like that very much.
What do you mean I don't like?
So I'm going to ask it this way.
Don't have mercy on me.
When we're talking about evil and good, bad and good, sweet and bitter, we talk about it in what place? In an emotional place or only in our daily life towards the outside? Because if it happens towards the outside...
No. You're getting confused. Emotionally or outwardly, these are two different things. It can be both. They're not contradicting. There could be emotions on the outside and on the inside.
Wait, so my question is like this.
You're asking, where is our scrutinies? Of course, they're not on the plane of this world at all. They're on a level where we have to correct ourselves. The Creator created one common collective will to receive, and she shattered that desire to many pieces, many points. Each and every point was given its own individual egoism. That's it. And we need to restore, basically rediscover, but return to the system where we're already in, but we just don't feel it. That system is built like our cells in our body. We're an exact replica of this upper system, actually. So that's what we have to discover, the connection between us. I'm here and I need to discover my connection to all the others, to all the other souls. What is that point called I? It's not my body, my beast. It is the point in the heart that wishes to grow and enter, penetrate the spiritual world. All the rest but that point is what we have here in this world, and it lives and dies, and we're not even talking about that. I'm not referring to your qualities here, or habits, or anything. Only the point of the heart. That's what you have left, and this is what goes through from life cycle to another. Your body is here in this world. That's its house. That's where it is. This is what it has. And the point in the heart, if it awakens, if it's hidden, then it's still hidden. We have no claim to a person. But if it wakes up, it is the only point from which you can enter spirituality. It is the only point you have from that upper, eternal, complete spiritual state. Without that point, you're an animal. That's it. So we're only talking about that point. So what's happening between those points? Once they were all united in a state called Adam, like the Adam before the sin, then they were all broken. What does it mean? That the connection between them was broken, not the points themselves. The connection was broken, so the system collapsed. What do we need to do to reconnect those points together? So that's what we call love thy friend as thyself, or love. Love means such a connection where there's no difference between us. That's the state we have to achieve. So you can call it love thy friend as thyself. You can simply say we have to go back to the corrected state, the uniform state called Adam. It is said you are called Adam. You are all called Adam. And therefore, when you're asking, how do I check the measure of truth and false and bitter and sweet and all that, I only measure it towards my connection with others. What is my connection with others? So we're told this. With the whole of humanity, which is 7 billion people, you can't make all those scrutinies and calculations. So what did the Creator do? He distinguished a certain group out of that humanity, well, say even several dozens of people, and he brings you to that place and he tells you, okay, you want this. He, as the article about free choice says, he puts your hand on the good faith and tells you, start strengthening your connection with others. But you don't want to. Of course you don't. Who said you do? Because your animal pulls everything towards itself. It demands whatever it wants, and that's it. and of course you don't want to love the others. When you start engaging with the group, with the study, by this work you do in a group, you discover the light that reforms, which is called surrounding light, O Mekif. That light which shines on the state you're in, it basically illuminates, shines on you from that state of the group. So when it does, it gives you the feeling that you are each time worse, that you hate the others, that you curse the others, you don't want to be connected to them, you feel hatred of others, towards others. It shows you the true state of shattering, which we are all in to begin with. We're just unaware of it. So what you discover first is what we sketched here. Transgressions, it's called, and mistakes. First, mistakes, which means it's not real hatred, it's not that bad. And later, transgressions, which means I truly hate everyone. And then I reach the point called Mount Sinai, where I have a mountain of hatred. Sinai comes from the word Sina, hatred in Hebrew. And it's true hatred. This is called, I created an evil inclination. This hatred is the meaning of the verse, I created an evil inclination. That's it. Then when you come to that state, you discovered the first part or condition of that sentence, I created the evil inclination, then you begin to desire the spice of Torah. You need the Torah, the light of Torah, because the light of it reforms. So then you begin to work with the study, with the group, and then the light begins to change you. It begins to raise you above those transgressions and mistakes, above them. You don't correct them. You only raise yourself to not use your evil towards the others. There's two phases of correction. The first one's called according to old Hillel. What did he say? He said, don't do to your friend what is hated upon you. That's the first phase. You can't immediately reach love and that kind of connection with the souls. And the second phase is according to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said, love thy friend as thyself.
So, can you connect all that to what's in the article, with the good and bad and sweet?
I don't know what to connect. It's all connected. I don't know. I ask questions because then I'll know what else I need to clarify here. I think it's...
I don't understand the explanation how it connects with the article. It's not clear to me.
The article says that there is no good or bad. Everything is measured with respect to the goal. If you take the right path, you see the bad and the good equally, both as supporting the goal, and that they have to be connected. And in order for you to acknowledge the evil, you have to feel bad in the state or the incident, and then in your bad feeling, determine that it's evil. And then later you'll determine that the evil inclination is evil, even if it makes you feel good. You look at me like, okay, I am doing something. I stole something, let's say. I had an opportunity, I stole something from you. I feel good. Right? That's it. Then I was caught, and I got really beaten up. I received some punishment, let's say. That made me feel bad. How much blows do I have to suffer so that I feel that stealing is worse than not stealing? This is why it is called a transgression does not put out a mitzvah. I need to feel bad so that next time I'll at least won't be thrown to prison again. So let's say I stole 50 shekels from you, and I'm told you have to give him back 100. Why 100? I only took 50. True, but you did such an act which we don't want you to repeat. So it's a correction. Punishment should be a correction. So if you pay 100 in return, you will know for the future that by stealing you lose. And we have to give you such a sense of punishment that will guard you keep you from stealing next time. So they take 100 shekels from me, and I steal again next time. Why? Because if our will to receive would not change, would not grow, we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't develop. The poor thieves who are always stealing, they're not to blame really, and the judges don't realize it. By the way, there's a judge sitting right next to you. And they don't realize that the will to receive is always changing. I once received a punishment, and in that desire that I had before, I was a different person. Today it's a new desire. Nothing works on it. It's all new. What can you do? So nothing will help me, and I steal again. What do we see? What do we see next time in our life? I'm now told to give 200 shekels in return, although I stole only 50 again. Or they even put me to prison and so on. I have to be given a bigger punishment so that I won't be mistaken next time. However, they don't realize that our will to receive is constantly changing. So it won't help. And we're seeing it doesn't help. So what happens in the wisdom of Kabbalah? You think there's a solution there? No. But there, it's for the better to constantly steal. It's actually for the better, because each time by those thefts you come to see who you are, and even the punishments you get, you feel that they don't work on you, meaning you are shown the truth, how the will to receive always grows. I steal and I'm beaten up. I steal again and I receive a fine. I steal again, I go into prison and so on and so forth, and it's infinite. And it's endless, but we have to completely discover our entire will to receive. It is said that Adam Rishon was a thief. Thief means receiving in order to receive. So, to what extent? There is no extent. So our world ends up with nothing being corrected. When does it mean that I've achieved the opening of my kli, of my soul? When I discovered all the transgressions and all the mistakes. I'm a criminal. Like we say in the Yom Kippur, in the Day of Atonement, we are traitors, we were criminals, we killed and slaughtered and so on. You discover that you did all those transgressions, because really they're all latent in your nature within. So that's called our 613 desires, which are all completely transgressions. And later we correct them, which is called 613 mitzvot. So we have to disclose them, and all of them. Without it, you won't enter spirituality, you won't enter corrections. So in corporeality, there's no end to it. But there comes a phase where we've grown to a point where our ego is just blocked. That's it. It is. We're sick of it. It can't give us any answer on spirituality. And then the point in the heart unfolds, emerges. We have to also mention here that from the point in the heart we start entering the spiritual world from this world. And in the spiritual world there is an end to it. You have to discover first all the qualities in your soul which are evil to begin with. It's called, I created an evil inclination. The Creator, as if says, I created an evil inclination and there's nothing else I created. And you only have to discover that evil. And that's all. And then we achieve corrections. And those corrections are only by the correct study of authentic Kabbalah sources. Because they're all talking about the connection between us in a group, through the group, with the right study, forming the connection between us as much as we can. Through that point of connection, we receive light, because according to the level of connection between us, we can derive that light from its hidden place. Yes?
In the beginning, when you discover the evil inclination, that everything that you move is in order to receive something. So it's, for me, what it happens, it really makes me angry.
You didn't think you were so possessive before?
I thought I was good.
Good, so this is showing you the truth.
Okay, but now, after a bit of time after I was angry. No.
Why? Well, who didn't agree? Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't agree with it. But does it mean that I stopped? Or?
No, it didn't mean that you stopped. Today you relate all of this to the Creator, so it's not so bad. You're saying, okay, if He created it, that's the creation, so I can agree with it. Okay, look at me, I'm all evil. It's not me. Go to the artist who made me.
So where does the cry come from?
Because the evil you discover is still not the goal-oriented evil. You don't find that this evil prevents you from achieving your goal. When you will be put in a state where I am evil, and I'm evil towards the connection with the friends, and that connection is in order to reveal the spiritual world to us, because we have to build like a kind of network between us, a connection between us, all of us connected. And in that space, that is called the place. The place. What does it mean? The place is how the Creator is referred to. That's where we find the quality of love, the quality of bestowal. And when you'll discover that I'm here and I hate everyone and I reject them and resist them on the one hand, on the other hand, you'll feel that you must be inside, that you must be there, because that's the goal, because that's how you acquire eternity, perfection. So then you'll realize your evil that prevents you from good. Then you'll start hating it. But this hatred will already be purposeful. So you need the group here and drawing the light, and in the light discovering the goal and how much I'm opposite to it. Yes.
I'm asking to check on page 570, on the fourth paragraph, where it says, in order that he could go and reveal the holy names that are revealed according to the correction of good and bad, good and evil. Bad, I understand, because we're always talking about it. How do I correct the good? Or what correction is it talking about here?
So that's what I said. All the corrections are only one thing. Like Rabbi Akiva says, love thy friend as thyself is the great rule of the Torah. Well, what's a rule? Meaning that there is nothing else to be corrected but the connection between us. And the connection between us is, look, there's me and others. That's me, as though outside the others, and I have to connect with everyone. How much types of connections here, I don't know. In my point, this point in the heart, there are 613 desires. If I begin to connect to others through them, I grow them. I begin to take on a shape, a form, a structure of a Partzuf. That's called my soul. And in the connection with others, I have 248 desires. That's called Chafetz Chesed. That's bestowing in order to bestow. Down to the point of the Chazeh in my Partzuf. Or it's also called Chabad and Chagat of my kelim, of my vessels. And below there is Nehi, which is 365 desires, in which I already need to receive in order to bestow. So, I connect with others through my 613 desires. I don't have anything else. Part of them I bestow in order to bestow. Part of them I receive in order to bestow. That's how I build my soul. That is my soul. Or we call it Partzuf, as we learn. That's all. That's my entire work here. So I examine myself only towards the others. That's why it is called love thy friend. That's what I need to do.
In any case, what is good and what is bad?
Towards that. In practice, we are told, it's all very vague, theoretical, who knows? You're brought to a group. Forget all the philosophy here. You have a group. In the group, make the calculation. And Kabbalists write to us in articles, the Ari, the Ramchal, 500 years ago in the Zohar, there's a lot about how they managed being together in a group or didn't. They went through various states until they grew to an exalted degree. In the Ari's group 600 years ago, Ramchal 500 years ago, Kabbalists tell us from all the generations. But what happened?
So Tov is the 248, Ramach? Those desires?
You're asking about whether it's the good mitzvot and bad mitzvot or something like that? No, that is the level of use. The good means everything with which I connect to others.
So what do I have to correct?
That connection.
The evil, I know I need to correct it. That's what I understand. That it's written here.
You're asking about the text.
It's saying we have to correct the good and evil. I don't know what it means to correct the good. The evil I understand, because we're always talking about the recognition of evil.
Okay. I'll explain. 1 second. What you think of as good and what you think of as bad, it's what we said before. There's bitter and sweet. sweet can be maybe good for me. Bitter could be deemed bad. That is what's natural to me, right? I got it.
I got it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you ask a baby, that what it tells you. What's good is what's sweet is good, what's bitter is bad. Later I see that there's truth and false. Okay, you got it.
Could you go back to the first drawing?
What first drawing?
More. Okay. In this drawing, can you show us where is Rosh Hashanah and where is Yom Kippur and where is Sukkot?
Come on, guys. There's a endless appetite here. No, I can't do it. This, I'll tell you, I don't even have the room here to add it in the diagram. All our holidays are here. Usually, when we're talking about the true height of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, Rosh Hashanah, it comes from here. But if we're talking about his person coming to that point, Rosh Hashanah means that I decide on a new path, a change. So this becomes Rosh Hashanah to me. Here, when I decide I must achieve corrections, then I rise to make corrections through the Machsom. It's truly so. And in the month of Elul, I self-scrutinize. I collect all my transgressions and mistakes. I discover that I must have a new phase in life. And it's not about the calendar on the wall. It could be, I don't know, in the middle of the summer or the middle of the winter. It doesn't matter. It's my inner state. I've discovered that I'm complete evil. The Creator said I created an evil inclination. Now I see that He's right. Truly like that. But it's in me. What do I do with it? When I discover it, I attribute it to me. What am I doing? So it is said, I created the spice of Torah for it. So now I need that light of Torah, the light that reforms. So, with this obligation that I take, with this commitment, I cross the Machsom. It's only after I've discovered everything in me. It doesn't happen exactly in the Rosh Hashanah. It happens at Yom Kippurim, the Day of Atonement. There's a lot, 10 days penitentials, it's the 10 Sefirot. Let's move on to the next part and we'll cover more.
Moving to the next part of the lesson.
במצב השלם, כולנו יחדיו, אליו נתקדם, נגיע אליו, ביחד נבנה כאן את המציאות. עולם מדומה, כולו אשליה, מה שקורה ביני לבינך הוא חוק הבריאה. מה שקורה ביני לבינך הוא חוק הבריאה. נקרא בספרים, נשאף אל הטוב, עם החברים נלמד לאהוב, ביחד נבנה כאן את השלמות.